each fraction to see if you can tell your partner how you simplify. All right, I wrote 2 words on the board, 2 phrases I should say. Explain to your partner what you know. Greatest common factor, least common multiple. Explain what you think the difference is. What are factors? Factors are numbers that you can multiply together to get a product, which is the answer to multiplication. Okay, my product is my answer to multiplication. Those 2 numbers that I'm multiplying together, those are called my factors. Okay, when I say greatest, I'm trying to find the largest, the biggest. Okay, then we have a phrase, and we did this last week, and we had to find greatest common factors, and common factors help us in reducing or simplifying fractions, right? So we had to have that greatest common factor lesson so that we could make sure that we remember how to simplify fractions, okay? So yesterday we worked on adding fractions that had like denominators. So my denominators on all the fractions, whether I was adding 2 fractions or 3 fractions, they were all the same, right? Okay? Or whether I was subtracting 1 or 2 fractions. All my denominators were the same, right? Okay? Tomorrow we're going to build into adding fractions and subtracting fractions that have unlike denominators. But before we can do that, I have to give you a reminder of how to find a least common multiple. Because I'm going to have to make common denominators in order to be able to add or subtract those fractions. And I do that by a strategy called finding the least common multiple. Okay? So, factors are 2 numbers that I multiply together to get a product. So 7 and 3 would be my factors, 21 would be my product. Multiples. I kind of see that word multiply or almost hear that word multiply, right? Okay? So when I find the least common multiple, if I wanted to list the multiples for the number 3, here's what I would have to ask myself. Basically, you're counting by this number. So I have 3. If I were to be counting by 3s, that's the same as taking 3 times 1, 3 times 2, 3 times 3, right? Because 3 times 3 is the same thing as 3 plus 3 plus 3, right? Okay, so when I find the LCM, which is the acronym they use for least common multiple, all I'm doing is I'm starting with my number and I'm multiplying it by 1, then multiplying it by 2, then multiplying it by 3. Do you see why we memorize math facts? Yeah. Okay. So 3 times 1 is? 3 times 2? 3 times 3? 3 times 4? 3 times 5? 3 times 6? 3 times 7? 3 times 8? 3 times 9? And 3 times 10 would be? Okay. I could continue that pattern on forever and ever and ever and write every multiple of largest number that I know of 3. Okay? So these numbers, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and so on, those are multiples of 3. Okay? What if I also have the number 6 and I want to write the multiples of 6? What are my multiples, Alexa? So 1 times 6 is? 2 times 6 is? 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 5 is 6 times 6. 6 times 7. We're going to stop there. Okay, so if I were finding common multiples, which could be listed as CM, my common multiples between 3 and 6 would be 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, and then there would be more too. But I think that's probably enough for us to think about now. Okay, so my common multiples could be 6, 12, 18, 24, but I want to find the least common multiple. So am I looking for the biggest number or the smallest number? Smallest number. So my least common multiple between 3 and 6 is, so my LCM, or least common multiple, would be equal to 6. Okay? So if I give you the numbers of 4 and 7, let's find some common multiples. Do it with me on your board. 4 times 1 is? 4 times 2? 8. 4 times 3? 4 times 4? 4 times 5? 4 times 6? 4 times 7? 4 times 8? 4 times 9? 4 times 10? Okay, we'll stop there. Who thinks I can do 7? 7 times 1 is? 7 times 2? Times 3? Times 4? Times 5? Times 6? Times 7? Times 8? Times 9? Times 10? Woo! Some of you are good. All right, so if I'm going to find common multiples in the numbers that I have listed, a common multiple, my first one would be 28. And of all the other numbers that I have listed, I don't have any other common multiples. So between 4 and 7, my LCM would be 28. Okay? If I were to continue this pattern, I would find more common multiples. But my biggest goal is to find the least common multiple they have. So really, after I listed the factors of this, or I'm sorry, erase that from your memory, the multiples of this first number, and I start listing them for the second number, the first time I list a number that I remember is up here, I can stop. So I could have stopped when I got to 28. Because ultimately, your final goal is to find the least common multiple. So once you find that smallest number that they both have, you can stop listing multiples of your second number. But what if I have 3? Okay, so what if I have fractions that I have 3 fractions that I'm adding, and they all have a different denominator. One denominator is 3, one denominator is 4, and one denominator is 6. I have to find the least common multiple of those 3 numbers to create equivalent fractions that are going to have common denominators. So I start by listing my multiples of 3. Who can do it? Go.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27.
Woo! Who can do 4? Go.
4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40.
Who can do 6? Go.
6, 12.
Oh, I can stop right there. for recess. Yeah, we'll just do that. There you go. I want the LCM.